Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and you're listening to another Q&A with you and me. I do 5 of these videos every week. One of them is made public. The other 4 are exclusive to patrons. If you want to become a patron of mine, head over to chrispirillo.com. To this point, we have 43 exclusive videos right now, with 4 new ones every week. It's a lot of exclusivity, you know, and I'm worth the price of a cup of coffee once a month, at least. Maybe coffee and a sandwich.
Yeah.
Or 2 if Diana's with me, because she is eating for 2 now. I made her turn off her program. She's watching on TV on my Google TV across from me. She likes hanging out here in my workshop as I do these things. So, we are live on YouTube once again, answering the question, what would you do as a new tech journalist? Not to be confused with a nude tech journalist, which I tried once. No, hun, I'm sorry. I did not try it. Ow. So, you know, there's a lot of discussion that I see these days around journalism and the future of journalism. And we're at this interesting point in history where the establishment of media companies is still there, and they still, I'm not going to say control, but they dominate because they have budget, because they have resources. And they're able to do things that, you know, smaller entities wouldn't be able to do. They don't have the resources. That's usually how it goes. You know, if you're smart, or you're at least wise in how you spend those resources, you're going to do well. But usually the more resources you have, the better you're going to do. And, you know, when I was in college, the option to be a journalist was there, but it was never interesting to me. Never. I enjoyed writing. I enjoyed sharing my opinion, but that's exactly why, that second part, not so much the writing part, but the opinion part, is exactly why I would never have made it as a journalist. I can look at things objectively, but inevitably I have an issue with not being able to, Okay, I always want to interject my opinion. And anybody who wants to interject their opinion in everything they do, they're probably not going to make a good journalist. And there's definitely a place and a role for journalism. And journalists are funded in a variety of ways. Usually they're working for an entity, so the entity pays the bills. Does that entity have an agenda? I don't know. But that journalist, the person who's writing something or even reporting on something, should not have an agenda at all. You know, they're journalists. I mean, the whole thing is that what they're reporting on, however they're doing it, whatever medium, whether they're, you know, a radio journalist or speaking, you know, talking, whether they're writing it or communicating by way of video, they're a journalist. And that word still means something to me, and I think it means something to everybody. Now, there's a massive difference between a journalist and a blogger, and it's primarily, you know, the role of them in relation to what they're reporting on. Journalists should not be interjecting any of themselves inside of a report. They're there to report the facts. Period. End of story. Spec sheet. That's it. That's it. And now we're at a time in this world of ours where lines are getting blurred and old ways of doing things don't work as much anymore. And the value of journalism has never been more strong, but has also never been more watered down. I'm not a journalist. I know I've been accused of being a journalist, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just, hey, you're a journalist, you should... I never said I was a journalist. That's not my label. I'm not a journalist. I can't report without interjecting my opinion. If anything, I would be found in the op-ed page. Opinion, editorial, that's me. I'm opinion. I'm opinionated. It's what I do. An opinionated person would not make a good journalist. Report the facts. Decide what you want. So if you love technology and you have opinions about technology, do the world a favor and don't become a journalist. But you could do the world a favor and continue to share your opinions and perspectives. You can still operate in the same space. So, you know, even before you begin, decide what you care about doing most. Do you just want to report the facts? Or do you want to lay on top of those facts your opinion? You know, it's fascinating to me because, you know, we all are operating in the same space. And just because one person only cares to report facts doesn't mean that the person reading it only wants to read about the facts. This is why you have these gigantic discrepancies, especially between an article that might be shared or posted, or a video that might be shared and posted, and the people commenting on it. So I referenced in today's live TLDR, someone had accused me, a kid, 13 years old. And I have no problem with his age, it's just he accused me of being biased. And it's like accusing someone of being human. Even if you try to remove bias, you've got to work overtime to remove any amount of bias from an article that you're presenting as a journalist. You're just reporting the facts. That, to me, that is the definition. That's the way I've always perceived it. To me, that's the big difference. Can a journalist be a blogger? Yes. Can a journalist report the facts? Or, I'm sorry, can a blogger report the facts? Yes. But a blogger doesn't necessarily have any background or training. They just put it out there, right? And it may just be the facts. But are they a journalist? Is a blogger a journalist? Is a journalist a blogger? I mean, the lines, like I said, are just all over the map. So, decide what you want to do. Do you just want to talk about technology? Okay, knock yourself out. Just report it. That's what you want to do. But know, and you should know, if you're at the point where you're thinking, well, I think I want to do this, know how you want to present something. And be prepared in knowing that your audience, and I don't just mean your community, I mean I'll get to that in a second. Your audience, the people who are going to be experiencing that which you've created, are going to be on a completely different field. Or, I'm sorry, in a completely different, what am I trying to say? They're in the same field, but a different position. No, they are in, I'm working through the metaphor, bear with me. They're on a different level as you are. And I don't mean up or down. I mean, they see what you're presenting, and they see it from their perspective. If anything, they are likely introducing bias to an article that is just reporting the facts. If I come out and say, definitively, this device is the fastest device in terms of this benchmark today, it's a fact. It's a flat fact. If I come out and say, this device is the best device that's ever been created, that's not a fact. Oh, and by the way, I mentioned this today in the other video as well. Just because you think something is true doesn't mean that it is. You'd be best served by remembering that the next time before you comment on anything or create anything. Just because you think it's true doesn't mean that it actually is. Your truth may be different from somebody else's truth. If someone's reporting facts, that's a fact. If someone who's creating something cannot separate fact from opinion, and it is blatantly obvious when someone cannot separate fact from opinion, if they can't do it, then don't try to do it for them, because they're never going to get it. Or they're presenting it in the way that they're going to present it. Everybody listening, whether you're reporting something or just taking in what someone else might be reporting, you are responsible. I hate to do this to you. You are responsible for being able to separate fact from opinion. Because there's so much of both things out there. And so much, quote-unquote, so much opinion or pseudo-facts are passed along as facts with no research being done. Who funded the study? Who's backing it? Who's supporting this? What's their agenda? You know, is it one person? Is it a team? You've got to consider these things. That's why transparency is so important. You have to look beyond what's being presented sometimes. It's never been easier and yet more difficult to do that too. So, you know, hopefully that makes some amount of sense, not just for the people who might be interested in becoming a tech journalist, but people who experience tech reporting and can look and go, oh, this person obviously has a slant for these types of things. Well, maybe that's their beat. Maybe that's what they cover. If what they cover is only things from a certain company, well, it's not that they're biased. Maybe they enjoy it. Maybe that's what they're getting paid to do. That's not bias. It's called a job. And that's the thing. A journalist, that's a job. It's a career. It's a job. Sometimes the people who are reporting the news don't care. They don't understand anything about what they're reporting. This is what, to me, is so appalling, or what was so appalling in growing up and being fascinated with certain things, not just science, But technology, I would see someone report on technology and just screw up the facts. I'm like, what? That's not even close to being true. Because their job isn't to be a geek. Their job is to basically report what best they know how, given the description of a particular situation. So how many times have you been watching TV or listening to radio or reading a page going, who is reporting this? This is so wrong. They may not know anything. They don't know as much as you. They're not a subject matter expert. That's not what they're trained for. Being a journalist doesn't mean that you have to be an expert. You just got to be able to report what you know, what you see, what you observe. So, like I said, this is a big topic, and I cannot possibly distill it down in a 10-minute video here on YouTube. It's just not going to happen. I mentioned that I'd get back to the idea of community. The notion of needing to go to a big brand to get to a personality is disappearing quickly. You probably have a big, like, let's say there's whether it's a website or a media agency or media group, and you go there because you trust the brand, but you probably really like and look forward to people who work for that brand because they do things the way that you enjoy them. And you follow those people and those personalities. And I think more and more as time goes on, that type of content is going to become more, not just personal, but it's better for you to just follow people rather than following big brands. Because the people, you trust the people, you like the brand that they're with, but that person may shift brands. Are you likely to follow someone? What do you care if I publish video on YouTube versus Vimeo? If you follow me because this is the personality you like, win-win. It's not because of YouTube, it's because of me. YouTube's a great place for a lot of people, but if I publish this video on YouTube or any other place apart from YouTube, would you not enjoy it as much? People will people will begin to follow more personalities in terms of the reporting they receive or the information they receive, rather than following big brands. And that's going to be a growing trend. Something to keep in mind if you're going to start too. So be building your personal brand, what you want that personal brand to be. But be careful about what you share, because once it's out on the internet, it's out there forever. And if you happen to tweet something that seems to be very opinion-laden, your objectivity is gone out the window. What? No. What's funny?
You've done that.
Exactly, but I'm not a journalist.
True.
I'm very laden with opinion. That's not my problem.
I know.
That, in fact, that is my problem, is that I'm too laden with opinion. Don't call me a journalist, ever. No. There's me wagging my finger. Don't ever call me a journalist. Don't. I respect that title too much. Because I'm not one, and I could never be one. It's just not what I do. Yeah, follow your favorite personalities. Decide what you want to be, and put yourself out there. If you just want to report the facts, then you just make sure everywhere you are, everywhere you go, everywhere you be, you got to report the facts. No opinion at all, or go the opposite direction. You can't be in the middle.
I've said many times you're too honest to a fault. A little too honest. You know? You're fake drinking. Oh.
No, I'm not fake drinking. There you go. I've just been accused by my wife, carrying my child, that I was fake drinking to avoid talking to you. Is there any other things you'd like to accuse me of doing that I'm not doing?
No, that's it.
Okay, for now?
For now.
For now. So hopefully you guys got something from it. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, watching more of our videos right now if you can. In this channel or the other channel. Now that we have more than one. We're a YouTubing family. And of course, thank you to all the patrons who helped make this video, this very video that everybody watched. The patrons made it possible. So, that's what I would do if I was to start as a new tech journalist, or giving you my thoughts on the industry, as it were. Does anybody else have thoughts? I'm sure you've already shared them as a comment. And if not, go ahead. Let us know.